Friends, I am Dr. M. K. Motodi from Government Law College, Hassan. Today I am going to discuss about the facts which need not be proved under the law of evidence prescribed for final year students of BA LLB 5 years course and the 3 years LLB course. Under the law of evidence, there is a concept called as the burden of proof. What is this burden of proof? When any party wishes the court to give a judgment in his favor on the basis of any fact, then he has to prove those facts and the burden of proof lies on him. It means if any person wants the court to believe that a fact exists, then he has to prove the existence of that fact. That is called as the burden of proof. And this burden of proof can be discharged by way of adducing either the oral evidence or the documentary evidence as interpreted under Section 3 of the Indian Evidence Act. Oral evidence consists of all the statements made by the witnesses before the court in relation to the matters of inquiry. Documentary evidence means all the documents produced for the inspection of the court. So, a party can adduce evidence in the form of oral evidence or the documentary evidence. Now, not that anything can be proved or any evidence can be adduced. We should also look to Section 5. Section 5 says, if there is a proceeding before the court, a party may adduce evidence as to the fact in issue or relevant fact only and none else. It means evidence can be given of the fact in issue or relevant fact only and none else. Means parties should confine themselves to proving the facts which are in issue before the court or which are relevant to the fact in issue. That is provided under Section 5. Now, with this background, if a party wants the court to give judgment in his favor, he has to prove the existence of certain facts. But not that the party has to prove all the facts. There are certain sets of facts which need not be proved before the court. Means the court can take or the court has to take judicial notice of certain facts. These are called as the facts which are judicially noticeable. And these facts are delineated under sections 56, 57 and 58 of the Indian Evidence Act. Let us now come to section 56, what this section says. Under section 56, the facts which are judicially noticeable need not be proved by the party. Then it means certain facts which are judicially noticeable need not be proved by the parties. What are those facts which are judicially noticeable? The list is provided under section 57. Yet, as a general statement, what I can say here is, if there is a matter of common knowledge, and if this matter is supposed to be known by the court also, hence the party need not prove that matter or the fact before the court. There have been very interesting decisions by the courts of law in the recent days on this point. For example, in motor vehicle accident cases, if a housewife dies, then what amount of compensation has to be given? What about her earnings, the potential earnings? A housewife doesn't mean that the housewife doesn't earn at all. So even the housewife contributes to the welfare of the household, and there is a contribution of her work to the economy also. So the court has to take note that even the housewives contribute. This is a judicially noticeable fact. So this has been the decision of a court of law. Accordingly, now we are facing the problem of these migrant workers during COVID-19. They are moving from one place to another place, and it is being observed that their fundamental rights and human rights are being violated like anything. Under these circumstances, whether the migrant workers are stranded or not is a judicially noticeable fact, and the court need not ask for the proof of it. The court itself has to take note of it, and this is a judicially noticeable fact. And and the various writ petitions and public interest litigations by being filed before the Supreme Court and various high courts, the honorable courts have to take judicial notice of this fact. That is section 56. Coming to section 57. Section 57 lists the facts which are supposed to be judicially noticed, and these facts need not be proved by the parties. The section delineates totally 13 matters in which the courts have to take judicial notice of the facts, and they need not be proved by the parties at all. So the section lists 13 matters in which the court can take judicial notice of the facts. And these 13 matters are what? These 13 matters are various, just to name few of them. For example, laws of the land, notification circulars being passed by the governments, matters of common knowledge, road traffic rules, so on and so forth. Even the public acts being passed. These are all the matters considered to be of public in nature, and these are supposed to be known by the court, and the court has to take judicial notice of them, and the parties cannot be asked to prove it. That is section 57. This section 57, at the end of it, declares two things. First declaration is, whenever the court has to take judicial notice of certain facts, if the court is bound to take judicial notice of certain facts, the court can rely upon, or it can extensively refer to various records and documents. Even it can refer to the books. For example, what is the state of affairs in 19th century in particular area regarding certain archaeological structures, then the courts can have resort to the books and other documents pertaining to the records of that time. So that is the first declaration which is made. Means, while taking judicial note of certain facts, the courts can depend on or rely upon certain documents or records. Doesn't mean that the court has to well equip itself inherently with the knowledge of these facts. If it is not having, it can have resort to the books and documents. That is the first declaration. The other declaration appended to section 57 is that if any party requests the court of law to take judicial notice of any fact, such a plea of the party may be considered by the court, or it may be rejected by the court. It is up to the discretion of the court. It doesn't always mean that if a party insists, the court has to take judicial notice of certain facts, especially if it is a matter of particular common knowledge, public matters. Court, instead of taking judicial note of such fact, it can ask for the proof of it. So it is up to the discretion of the court. I can give you an example in this way. Suppose a party contends before the court that a particular matter has been reported in particular matter in particular period of time or on a particular date. So a party pleads before the court that such and such a report appeared in a particular newspaper on such and such date, and the court has to take judicial notice of it. Court, if it wants, it can take judicial notice of it by referring to that old newspaper on its own, or it may ask for the party, it may ask for the proof of it by the party. So it is up to the discretion of the court. So in case of the matters of common knowledge, court always has the discretion to take note of the fact on its own, or it can ask the party to prove it. That is up to the discretion of the court. So this is section 57. Section 58, it deals with the facts which are admitted. The facts which are admitted need not be proved before the court of law. This is what is provided by section 58. So what is admission? Under section 17, admission is defined as any statement, either oral or documentary, by specified persons under specified circumstances. They suggest any inference as to the fact in issue or relevant fact. It means, in any case or in any proceedings, there will be certain issues, and if there is any statement of the parties, etc., which suggests any inference as to such issue, that will be considered as an admission. And this admission may be in the form of pleadings before the court. Suppose plaintiff admits certain facts in the plaint itself, or the defendant admits certain facts in the written statement itself. They are called as judicial admissions. And if any fact is admitted by the parties in the pleadings, then the court should not ask for the proof of it, and that is called as the admissions. So court has to take judicial note of such admissions in the pleadings. Then another thing is, if the parties have approached the court by virtue of an agreement between them, that there has to be compromise in the issue, then the petition is filed or the plaint is filed on the basis of the agreement reached between the parties only. And this agreement itself, though it is prior to the institution of suit, that is compromise petition, such an agreement between the parties itself can be taken note of by the parties mandatorily, and that is a fact judicially noticeable. So, if there is an admission between the parties, either prior to the proceedings or during the proceedings in the form of pleadings, anything, that has to be taken note of by the court, and the parties are relieved from the burden of proof under such circumstances. So, this section 58 is also coming under the head facts judicially noticeable. So, these are the three facts which are judicially noticeable, in which case the parties are relieved from the burden of proving certain facts. Anyway, there are various situations wherein the court has the discretion to ask for the proof of such facts also. So this is these are the provisions relating to the facts which are judicially noticeable. Thank you.